Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Soccer Coaching Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Scott.
And I'm your other host, Mark.
In each episode, Mark and I will discuss the key topics that impact on football coaching in the foundation and youth development phases. We will share our thoughts, ideas and experiences, and whenever possible include guests so we can get their insights and opinions too. Thanks for listening and we hope you enjoy this episode. Afternoon, Mark. How are you?
Afternoon. Very good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm not too bad at all. It's just me and you?
Just us two, yeah.
Right.
Unfortunate for the listeners, it's just us two, but yes. Yeah.
Has your week been all right?
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit, the day job's getting a bit too much ahead of any training and coaching and things like that. I know, it's not good actually.
I've already seen you for a week, I spoke to you.
I know.
And that's why I know you're working hard.
It's not good. But we actually managed to get out on the grass today for a match this morning, which was the first time, I think, for the under-11s for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was nice to actually play a game. And I think they've had this was their second game since the middle of December or something like that. So
it's been very wet, hasn't it?
Yeah,
over here?
I can't remember a winter that bad, actually. No. I really can't.
It can be cold, can't it, and frozen, but you don't often get as much rain as we've had. And even tomorrow's no guarantees, is there, of the rain overnight, but I'm sure we'll do our best to get the games on.
Indeed, yes.
So today's theme.
Yes.
Should we go into it?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the theme of the session is going to be, would these initiatives improve development opportunities in foundation phase grassroots football? How's that for a mouthful?
Quite a mouthful, yeah.
So basically, we're going to share some thoughts. We've not discussed each other's, so I don't know what you're going to say. So we're going to share and challenge where we think is appropriate. Some ideas that we think, hey, if we were king for a day and we could run all the leagues, would these things be a better idea than what's currently out there?
Yes.
And this was sparked by something, Mark. And I know you're passionate about this,
yes.
The thing that sparked this. So go on, you talk.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. I think the theme has been sparked by the recent communication from the FA around heading, not just in the foundation phase, but in the youth development phase, the use of heading in I guess, kids' football. I'll be honest with you, my personal view, I was a little disappointed with what the FA come out with for a couple of reasons. I think, firstly, there was a great opportunity for the FA to really be revolutionary and literally say the ball cannot go over head height, to really encourage football to be played on the floor. And I know there's going to be controversy around what is head height and all this thing.
Everyone's just switched off.
Exactly, yeah. I get it, but I think they had a great opportunity to really encourage the ball to be played on the floor. Now, how many teams do we play where the goalkeeper kicks it long? And not just kicks it long because they got a player that's free or they got perhaps a quick kind of breakaway, but they just kick it long because that's what they're told to do. This was a great chance to kind of stop all that, right? And stop all this kind of long kicks and things like that and encourage the boys just to play football. And I'm just disappointed they didn't go that far. And the guidance they come out with was around they didn't, certainly in the foundation phase, to have no kind of heading in training, but you could have heading in matches, which again to me just doesn't make any sense, right? At least you could, at least if you do it in training, I don't think any coach would do it in training, but if you do a bit of heading in training, at least you're kind of, I guess, coaching the technique a little bit, which may help. I don't think you can expect kids to not do it in training, but allowed to do it in matches. It just doesn't. I just felt a little disappointed in the guidance. Your view? I think it's going to be different.
I think you've reined yourself back in a little bit on that.
Oh, okay,
yeah, you made your point though. No, look. As I understand it, the FA guidelines are around training, aren't they? That's what the focus is. So, and their advice has been, and it is guidelines, so it's not enforced, I understand. So, but their guidelines are basically saying, look, we would encourage no heading practice during training sessions.
Yes.
Up to maybe under 12 was 14.
Yeah, under 12, something.
For a few years. Which, I'm not a doctor.
Yep.
We know there's some anecdotal evidence about dementia in older players that would have spent a lot of time heading the ball, certainly in training, maybe not even in matches so much, but certainly practicing training. So there's reasons why they're looking at it.
Yep.
The one thing I totally agree with is, if something can happen in a match surely as coaches, we've got to be diligent enough to train our players to be able to do that properly.
Yeah.
And it's an argument that actually if the players don't know how to head the ball, even though the ball could be in the air quite a lot of times, then they're more possibility of them getting hurt, either by just getting a kick in the face because they're not used to from someone else because they don't know about the heading rule, or just heading the wrong part of their head, which I'm sure is probably more dangerous than using the right part of your head. So I just don't see how you can allow something to what's likely to occur in matches and does, and you're right to mention the teams we played against, some of them, and not have the opportunity to really work on it in training. Not that we've ever worked on heading practice in training. However, we like one of the small things I would do before a game and sometimes training is we're doing kick-ups, and I'll encourage the boys to do some kick-ups, then try and get it high enough to head once, then back to kick-ups again, just to get them used to the idea of the ball hitting them heads, because we know actually at the weekend they're going to have to face teams that will kick the ball long. As an example, we played a team just last week who were a year older than us and a strong team, and were winning the game. And this was a 7-a-side game, so it was I think our third 7-a-side match we played. We're still playing 5-a-side until the end of the season. And you'll remember, Mark, they were passing it back to their goalkeeper, who was picking the ball up and then just kicking it long.
So they had a goal. They had a goal kick on the ground, so the ball had gone behind the goal.
That's right.
They passed it out to a defender, the back player. The back player passed it back to the goalkeeper,
who would just kick it down the pitch. There's a different argument about how that develops or doesn't develop players. And I'm sure our opinions are probably quite clear on it. But park that for 1 minute. Just the very fact that, well, what do you do then? Are we not doing our job if we haven't prepared our players to be able to know how to defend a high ball that's coming at them from a goalkeeper from 40 yards away, kind of thing? So, like, you can't have it both ways. And there's another team that we're playing against soon, that only ever kick the ball long. Kick the ball long. Now, look, at first it would annoy me, but now I think actually that's our practice this week. Boys, you're going to have to, that's part of football. So not the way we want to play football. So, today's heading practice for us. That's kind of what we don't want it, but that's what we've got to have. The keeper's got to watch the ball bounce over their heads, and the players have got to learn to deal with high balls, bouncing balls. And yes, there's different ways you can control it, but when the other players are very good at winning headers, because they do it a lot, obviously, in their training sessions, and our players don't practice it at all, well, it's a massive advantage to the other team, but also it's a bit of a danger, because actually you can clash heads and do things wrong, which you're not used to doing it the right way. What I don't agree with is probably the ball overhead height. And that's the one thing.
Tell me why. If you don't mind.
Yeah, 100%. And I did think about this, and I know you're going to say it. So I was like, I feel like you're in court and I've led you down the thing. But and I get the argument. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, because I don't believe in it, I'm right and you're wrong. But the reason I wouldn't go that far is, if you ban heading straight away, absolutely fine. But then longer balls require you to have a bit of skill about how you might manage those longer balls. So, using your chest, bringing balls out of the sky, kind of thing, using your feet and stuff. So I think it would still make you play some nicer football. And it would take away the 50-50 percentage balls down the middle a little bit more, and just hitting the taller players, because that's not an advantage in honestly being that much taller. I know your chest is still taller if you're taller, but I don't think it's as big an advantage if you can't hit the ball. So I think it would fix some of the playing football stuff anyway. But also, I've got this thing, I know that people talk about playing at the back quite a lot and stuff, which I totally understand. But ultimately, the job is to put the ball in the back of the net. And if the right pass is that longer pass, and that may be a more direct, slightly higher pass, but it's the right pass, then I'm all for the boys playing that pass, or the players playing that pass, because it's the right pass. So why not have that slightly longer ball? And we've done it ourselves. We never encourage any of our players, particularly our keepers, just to kick it down the field aimlessly. But certainly, if you can pick out the front player from a slightly more direct, longer pass, then that's just a fantastic pass. And that's a good ability to have that will stand you in good stead for moving up through the age groups and the different levels and stuff like that. So although I think I can see the advantage of saying, right, let's get the ball on the floor, then no overhead height, I still think, actually, you know what, if you just say no heading in matches, I think you're going to be okay with that. And they've done it in the States, right, as far as I know. I'd be interested to know what people think out there about that. But I can imagine it's making people have to play some football. Also then, there's no danger, or not as much danger in overhead kicks, things like that, because no one's trying to hit it while someone's trying to volley it. So you can, there's other ways in which you can score some nice goals. There's the odd occasion where you get that wonderful diving header or that thing, but they're very few and far between. It's mostly defensive headers and clearing balls away and stuff. Or actually, what you lose in the odd occasion, you might get a wonderful goal from a lovely header. You might get some wonderful overhead volleys and that kind of stuff. So I just think banning heading would have been the right option with some guidance around, because then you don't need to work on it in training, do you? But banning it in training, giving guidelines to suggest you shouldn't have it in training, which is as good as banning it. Let's be honest, if you go against the FA guidelines, then you leave yourself vulnerable. But allowing it in matches just seems like a half-hearted measure that I don't really see how it's any better.
Yeah, I think it's fair points you made. I think five-a-side, you probably don't get as many as those long balls at five-a-side. I remember some of the longer balls that we've seen our under-8s play, or your under-8s play. A lot of them are the longer balls are still along the ground, right? Because as soon as you lift them in five-a-side, it's going to be difficult to keep them on the pitch.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there was an opportunity for them to do it certainly at five-a-side level, under 7, under 6s, under 7s, under 8s. You could have done it there. Maybe once you go to 7-a-side, you can relax that ruling a little bit and you have something different. I don't know.
Well, I guess if you banned heading, but did them that way, then so you say at five-a-side football, it's under head height.
Yeah.
But then introduce it 7-a-side football, you can go over head height because the pitch is a bit bigger, but still no heading.
Yeah.
That's a good compromise, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're almost doing best of both. Then you're encouraging the players to play football on the floor.
Exactly. And then the other thing is, by the time if you embedded that at five-a-side, that kind of almost kind of playing out from the back a little bit, or the goalkeeper passing it to the back players and then playing forward. Their players should then take that into 7-a-side, right? Because that's what they've kind of grown up on. They haven't grown up on just kicking the ball at five-a-side, kicking it long, and perhaps they may not do it as much at 7-a-side. It might help them develop kind of better technically.
That's a good point, because it must be much harder introducing these things with teams that you've kind of gone down 3, 4, 5 years of playing a certain way, regardless of what we may think about that way of playing. But then having to make a fundamental change, is going to be hard for those players, right?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm sure that people have got different views out there. I personally just felt a little bit. I just a bit disappointed that it didn't really change a lot for us. I didn't think it really changed a lot. I think the other point as well here is that actually the new footballs are a lot lighter than the old footballs from back in the day, for want of a better phrase. Where these kind of players used to head the ball a lot. I think it's the new balls are a lot lighter.
Don't
so
keep
maybe
the water in as much, do they, and stuff. So
yeah. So maybe that comes in. But I understand the FA they've got to take the scientific guidance on board, right?
I just think anything in which you deter someone from practicing that they need to do in the element of competition just seems like a strange decision to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about it to say that my opinion is right, but it just feels like a strange thing to say, actually, we do this in a game, but yet we don't encourage you to practice in it. Yeah. It will happen in a game, but we don't encourage you to practice it outside of a game. I think it's like, I don't know if that's a better option, to be honest with you.
Yeah, agree.
So
no heading training.
No, we're king for a day.
Yes.
So what would you do then? These are the things
right.
now. So we've got some ideas, right? We're going to share some ideas. We haven't seen each other. We might have the same things, but just thoughts, and they could be complete nonsense and rubbish. And we're open to abuse from people at home that say, actually, guys, you guys have lost the plot. What are you talking about? This is ridiculous. But the idea being that if these things were in place for matches, really in the foundation phase, I'm saying, but maybe in the youth development phase too, but certainly in the younger age groups, 5-a-side, 7-a-side, maybe even to 9-a-side, non-competitive, or not non-competitive, before it goes in brackets competitive.
Yep.
That kind of space. Would they improve? Not even are they doable, but would they actually improve the development of the players who are playing football? That's the idea, right?
Yep.
I guess because I kind of feel like, and I don't know what you think, Mark, but I feel like there's been improvements in training.
Yes.
Certainly across, I think in England, it feels like, there are more small-sided games, more player-centred stuff, less drill-based stuff. The unopposed stuff is still there, but measured and used more in the right way. I think the message got out there. Stay on the ball is the key message in the foundation phase, which is correct. Would argue with a bit of partisan as well, but certainly prioritise that. So I think when you look around and you see training and you see the players that we've got and the players we play against, there's a massive improvement from what there was going maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. I think it's certainly going back 10 years ago. Yeah, but what hasn't improved, I think, is the match day experience.
Yeah, I think, definitely. There's been.
It might have got worse. I wouldn't say it's got worse.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, I think there's definitely been a lot of improvements. There's a lot of great stuff online right now. It's not just a case of looking up drills like you used to maybe a few years ago. Yeah. There's lots of kind of sites and lots of people dedicated to this kind of games-based approach, player-centered. There's lots of stuff out there, so I totally agree. But there's also lots of bad stuff still around, and we see it in our club, right? So there is a good mix. So what we're saying is we've kind of got the where the FA have employed us to
We've got the keys to the to the vault. Yeah, we're in charge.
All right.
Yeah.
You go first. This.
All right. So my first one I'm going to throw out there. I don't know why I'm obsessed with goalkeepers, but I'm going to throw it out there straight away. That why not make a rule where you say you've got to have 2 goalkeepers every game? Now I don't mean 2 goalkeepers in goal at the same time. but you've got to play 2 goalkeepers. So maybe at 5-a-side and 7-a-side football that we play over here, or up to a certain age limit, you've got to have 2 goalkeepers. The rationale being then that what. Oh, and I'd probably add in a caveat there that however long the goalkeeper plays in goal, they should play outfield.
Okay.
Now, I totally understand that all these things, to them, there'd be some policing, how do you enforce that kind of thing, which I get that. But let's imagine you could. Let's just pocket. Would it be a good thing to do at foundation-based football that, it's going to be... I mean, we have 4 players every game in goal, but let's just say...
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
Yeah.
No, not yet. But let's... And most teams don't. Most teams will have one, right?
Yeah.
It's either usually
it's
like us...
mixed, actually, but I agree. A lot of teams only have one.
Certainly there's a few that still rotate.
Yeah.
And it's either like us where they'll have 4 different keepers pretty much in each quarter, or they'll have one.
Yeah.
And there's not much in between.
And even then, their strongest boy won't go in goal. It'll be the rest of the players rotating.
So... I just thought, okay, so you say, okay, if you're playing 5-a-side, 7-a-side football in England, then no problem at all. Just got to have 2 goalkeepers. How you manage it, and however long they play in goal, they should play on outfield as well.
Okay, so you could have something like the first half you have to have 1 goalkeeper, second half you have to have 2nd goalkeeper, something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So how about then if you've got a boy that particularly loves playing in goal but doesn't like playing out on pitch?
Yeah,
there may be the odd one out there that likes that, and not. Most of the people most of the boys and girls like it the other way around, right?
Yeah.
But there could be a player that just loves playing in goal.
I think there is, Mark, and it's a really good argument for arguing about rotating goalkeepers. And to be fair to most clubs that have got a fixed goalkeeper, is for that very reason.
Yeah.
It's because the kid loves it and wants to do it, and that's what they're really, really good at.
Yeah.
So it's tough to kind of say to a kid, well, actually, you know what? I get you're brilliant in goal, you're fantastic in else, but at this age, it's important you develop your outfield abilities too.
Yeah.
That's the most I think it is. It's like, well, actually, you know what? My boys really love eating pizza, but if we just eat pizza, it ain't going to make you the best,
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of a little bit, off piece by saying it, but it's true. You can't just do the one thing when you're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
You don't know how you're going to grow physically.
Yes.
And let's be honest, if you're not 5'10" or above, you're not going to play. Or maybe not. You're less likely to play at a really high level in goal if you're probably 5'10" or smaller.
Yeah.
Now these kids might shoot out to be 6'6", no problem at all. But even that, they've got much more chance of developing a career in football if they can play outfield as well, because they understand the game better. They'll move their body better. They'll have better feet for sure, and they'll just be a better all-rounded player. The other problem is, I think when you play in goal, your body takes a big impact. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I can imagine if I only play in goal, specialised from, say, under 7s, 8s or 9s, and that's all I do, my body's going to be pretty beaten by the time I'm in my 20s. I'm pretty sure of that, just impacting the floor and hitting the deck time and time again and stuff. Yeah. So, it takes a bit of that off them. We talk about the heading thing, which I understand the reason for looking at the heading thing because of what's happened historically. You can't tell me that a kid diving around and taking impact, especially on the Astros services that we've, the pitches we face, that's got to take its toll over time, surely.
Yeah.
If the kid breaks its arm, if the kid breaks their arm or gets an injury in which they can't dislocate shoulder, in which it ruins the opportunity for them to have a serious career as a goalkeeper, whether they go from there. I just think it's too young it's such a specialist position just to do that. They can train as much as they want in goal, so there's loads of goalkeeping practice training they can do and stuff. But just in matches, give them a chance just to play half a game on pitch. Yeah. That's all. You're talking 10, 15 minutes, 20 at most. So I'm not saying out of the 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours they train a week. I'm just saying give the kid 15, 20 minutes to play outfield.
Yeah. Look, I think it's a great idea, and I'm on board with it 100%, and I'm on board with the fact. Well, we're on the same team, aren't we?
Oh, right, okay.
And I think the 2 other points. But by the way, I think we've said it that for your under-8 team, you all the boys rotate. You have 4 different goalkeepers, you say, and I think you see the benefits of that. Not just those players then understand how to play in goal, or start to understand and appreciate the role of a goalkeeper. But also, if actually one of those boys wants to be a goalkeeper, it means they can play football with their feet, which for goalkeepers are really important, right? Because they've had that time at a young age to be playing out on field. They're not just in goal. They've got the ball at their feet a lot, and I think they develop in that way, and it helps them when they get older to be better goalkeepers.
Yeah. I know you shouldn't compare to like the Premier League and things like that, but I'd be pretty comfortable or confident saying that I bet the players, the top goalkeepers, are very, very good outfield players because they play a lot outfield too. You'd almost guarantee it. And I bet when they're in their youth football phases, they were playing a lot outfield as well, but they weren't just in goal the whole time. And I think I think it's important to give the players that opportunity. And also, what if they change clubs and they go to a club where they've got a fantastic 6'6" goalkeeper that's I don't know. You just think you're just limiting them very early to one thing, where an injury, a loss of confidence, a better player comes into a club, might put them out of football, and it's too early to do that. And who knows what they could do with their feet still? You just don't know how good these players can be with their feet until you give an opportunity. And to me, under 7s, under 8s, under 9s, under 10s. It just feels really young to put one player in one position.
To pigeon, I agree. The other thing is, I'm sure there's resilience benefits as well with being in goal, having to go and pick the ball up out the back of the net when you concede it and things like that. I'm sure you learn to
different pressures and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's a tick, right?
We're half in favour of that one. Yeah. Okay.
Only one question on that, just quickly. Do you think it would be hard to manage? Do you think it would be difficult then on a Sunday morning when you come up against a team that are very much a team that play to win, want to win? Do you think then it creates too much, I can't think of the word, too much work and effort to manage that situation? So what happens then if you're playing a team and you notice they've only got one goalkeeper for the whole game? How do you then manage? Did you think it creates a situation which could be confrontational, for example, and things like that?
With all these things, the biggest problem is the fact they're unbalanced, aren't they?
Yeah.
We take the approach we take, and it does cost us goals and games. It does 100% because other teams don't do the same thing. But we stick to it as much as we can. Don't get me wrong, I'll still bend things. We still, I don't, even with the let's be honest, the goalkeeper rotation thing, not all our 8 or 9 boys will play the same amount of goal over a season. There's certainly 2 or 3 or 4 that will play a fair bit more than another 2, 3 or 4, but they'll do that. They'll do some time in goal, and yet they wouldn't know so much. But it's not completely 100% even. I still move it around a little bit, and you look at the games that you've got. But that is the challenge. It's sticking to the principles of what you believe in, even when other teams don't. What you'd like to have here is saying, actually, this is the policy. So actually, if you play in X league, which is overseen by the FA, the policy is you play with 2 goalkeepers. Now, if you play against in the breaks that policy, well, then I guess you make a match note that they play one goalkeeper, and they deny it. But if everyone keeps saying, if all the opposition keeps saying this team's just playing one goalkeeper, then someone's got to come and deal with that. And it's ridiculous. But what you'd hope is if you can sell the why we're doing it and why it's important and the benefits, then over time, I think teams would come around to it. We could sell it as good practice first, an ideal practice if it's perceived that way. But ultimately, you want to almost enforce it. Even if you say, look, this is the way this league works, this is one of the rules we have, we expect you to do it like we do with other things. We expect you to do this and carry it out. And if one offender doesn't keep doing it, well, if enough of the other teams are doing it and complain about that, then they'll take up, right? That's the way it should almost become self-policing, doesn't it? You're going to get people that try, oh no, he did go and go, he did this, he did that. Exactly. If they want to win an under 8s game that badly, do you know what? Report it, let them get on with it. You'll do the right thing by your players, and I'm sure time will sort that out. But the best way I think of doing this is getting the parents on board. And educating the parents around this. Okay, why? Even if you've got a kid that really wants to play in goal, and you're, oh no, I'm happy to play 40 minutes in goal. Let the parents understand why that's not a good idea, and why at clubs we don't let that happen. Because then it'll be the parent and the coach here saying, look, I'm not being funny, but if you don't, it's half in goal, half on pitch, and I think most parents would like that anyway. We'll go to the club down the road. Because it's the right thing to do. We get it.
I think the other option is a league. A certain league could enforce this rule. If the FA didn't want to do it, a league could enforce it, right? Well,
for me, the way I see this planning out is that's how it'd be. Is like the FA would say, right, because as I'm saying, the FA in England oversee the leagues. So the county FAs would endorse the regional leagues.
Yes.
So it's their responsibility ultimately. So I think what they dictate down is what should happen, as far as I understand it. So that all they've got to say, right, I know it's another rule, but it's a rule. It's a good rule for development. That's the point here. You don't want to put in 1,000 rules for no reasons at all. But really, you could probably have half a dozen rules, just 6 things that say, right, in this league, forget all the fines about all the nonsense stuff that goes on about, not submitting your score sheets or all that stuff. I'm not saying, but not as important. The most important thing is development, right? It's a development league. So let's have 5 or 6 things that we say, right, in this league we do this. One being you play 2 keepers a game.
Yep.
And that's, and if we could get down to 4 or 5 things that made it right, nice and simple, that's the thing. That goes out to all the parents with the reason why, all the clubs, that's the thing we expect you to do. If you're in this league, that's how we play football.
Yep.
If you don't want to be play that way, then fine, go somewhere else.
Yep.
But taking nothing away from wanting to win. It's not about being fluffy and not being competitive. 100% competitive, want to go and win your games. But now as a coach, develop your players then to be able to play in goal and outfield.
Yeah.
Do the job that we're supposed to be doing, right?
Yep. All right, we're in. That's one.
All right.
With a tick.
Should we stop there then?
Let's stop. It's done. All right. So my first one is around format.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
in the UK, or in the UK, the format we have is from under 6s to under 8s. We play 5v5. Under 9s to under 10s, we are 7v7. Under 11s, under 12s is 9v9, and then it goes 11 aside. So it kind of progresses up the size. The format gets bigger. The pitches get bigger. The footballs get bigger as the age groups get older, which kind of makes sense, right? I think it's good. It's certainly a lot better than it used to be when we were younger.
Start 11 aside.
Just started 11 aside, right? And
start 18 aside. Go to 11 aside. And then go back to
But I think the FA can go further than what they do. Actually, I think that for the younger age groups, under 6s to under 8s, I think the format should be 3v3. And the reason that I say that, and I think we're both big fans of 3v3 format, is that there's no positions in 3v3, and the idea would be use smaller goals, so there'd be a little bit of investment, obviously, but the small metal sandbar goals. There's no goalkeepers. You have no positions. All the players are back and forward players. They're just up and down. There's no kind of even formations really in that kind of format, and you just have the boys or girls just have lots of touches of the ball. They're just dribbling with the ball all the time, and you could introduce little conditions clearly in the matches. You, like, for example, you can't if you're playing a kind of collaborative match against someone, you could have conditions whereby you can't pass in your own half. You've got to dribble. You've got to make a pass in the opposing half or something like that. You could bring all sorts of conditions in and really make it fun, but also make it all about development. And I just think making a smaller format for under 6s to under 8s, 3v3 would just be so good for development. There's just so much in there, lots of touches, lots of transitions, no kind of set positions, no goalkeepers. It's just for me, it's just a great format. And I think the other thing is it doesn't actually look like a proper match either, to a certain extent. So there's none of this keeping the score, because the score is going to be probably 25-24 or something like that. No
formations,
exactly.
Not really, because you can't in free it's so evolving.
And all the coaches are there. Then is that no one knows what the score is. It's just about, you can see the goal, right? You go again, straight in. I just think it'd be really good. I know there's a lot of restrictions around how you would set it up and the pitches and things like that, but you just don't need. You wouldn't even need lines. Just literally rock up with some cones and set a pitch up.
So you'd want to do that at under 6 to under 8s?
Under 6 to under 8s, yeah.
And then go to 5v5?
Then 5v5 under 9s to under 10s, and then under 11s to under 12s, 7v7. So you're basically bringing the format back as a kind of stage, and then after that you can go 9 aside when you get into the, I guess, development phase.
I think it's a strong case for it. I'm sure. I think in Belgium, don't they do something similar? I'm sure they start with 3v3. I don't know what age and how long for, and maybe they might even go into like 6v6 or something. I don't think it goes up to squad, but they certainly start with 3v3. I'm pretty sure about that, and they haven't done bad, have they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Peter Prickett's got his book out, hasn't he, about that? So it's worth shouting out.
He's got 2 books now.
He's got 2, has he?
2 books, yeah.
So it's worth looking those at. There is no doubt, Mark, he said that 3v3 is a great format and great for developing players. You're a massive fan. You did the tournament for our club, but 100%. I think it was you that brought it down. We played that game once over the pitch, remember, for the first time with the team that we had at the time. And it was just great to watch these kids playing in the right size 3v3 pitch with the goals set up and stuff. And they loved it, didn't they?
They did,
worked so hard, they loved it. Totally for the 3v3 format.
Yes.
And actually, the thing about could it work logistically with regards to investing in pitch, but I think if you took a 5v5 pitch and you played crossways each half, that's pretty much the same size.
20, 3 aside is normally about 20 by 12, isn't it, or something like that?
That'd be 20 by. Oh, that'd be a bit too big, wouldn't it? You'd be 20 by 20.
Yeah.
But you could do it, couldn't you? Because what you could do is just put a cone line inside the halfway line to make it a slightly narrower pitch and stuff like that. So you could certainly make that work. And you've got the middle bit then as well, which is probably keeping the two pitches aside. So you could easily turn a 5-a-side pitch into 2 3v3 pitches quite easy.
Yes.
With literally just 4 cones either side the halfway line, slightly set in, and 2 small samba goals either end. You're away, aren't you? Good. And if you want some flat marks in an area, you can, but you don't even need that, do you?
Don't need
goalkeepers don't need that,
no.
so you just play. No. I think it's a really good idea. I do like 7-a-side.
Yep.
And it feels like, I don't know if it just feels like under 9s, the boys are ready for it. Yeah. So I wonder if you could do something like a 3v3. Maybe that should be the priority. Say under 5s, it should 100% be. Yep. And under 6s, whether and then or I don't know if you could just do it different, where then at under 7s and 8s you go to 5-a-side then, or whether or not you do one more year of 3v3 and then 5, and then I don't know how you would do it. I'm not trying to complicate things. I don't know whether the 7-a-side pushing back even further. It feels like how little teams ready for 7-a-side football right now.
Do you think they're ready for it because they've done 3 years of 5-a-side? If they've done 3 years of 3-a-side, do you think you'd be then saying, right, they're ready to go to 5-a-side now?
I think 3 years of 3-a-side, I think, might have been too much.
Could be.
And that's what I love it. I just think a year, because it is smaller and it's smaller, and you can almost crack it a bit quicker because there's like less going on. There's no keepers involved. So there's little things you've got no throw ones to deal with, stuff. So I think a year or two of it, I guess it depends on when you start, doesn't it? And how much you spend doing it. Because we kind of obsess over this stuff, we know that in probably 18 months of 3v3, with all respect, the players would have smashed it. You know, like for what they are, they would have got it and stuff, and has gone maybe almost as far as they can go with it. And it's time for that next challenge. That's the only thing, because I think because it is a simpler format and it's brilliant, it does what it's supposed to do. You might just bleed it dry a bit sooner than you might 5v5 and 7-7, because I feel like 5v5 we've bled it dry now. We're done. We're kind of ready to go on now. But that's 50-60 games of playing 5-a-side football, so you'd be done. So I do think it should definitely be part of the foundation phase in those early years and almost exclusives, but especially as the players, whether your player starts playing under 5, 6 or 7s, you almost want them playing loads of 3v3 as much as they can for their first year of football, don't you?
Yeah. So maybe you do it, maybe under 8s you then switch into 5v5 or something like that, maybe for under 6s, under 7s you do 3v3 and then move into 5v5. Because
you know what happened. I think that's a good way of doing it, because then you know what happened. Because the second half of that second season, people start playing 5v5, almost a bit of both, wouldn't they? Which is a bit of transition there between the next formats. That makes sense. So you've got a good 18 months out of 3v3. You've got a couple of months in a transition between playing 3v3 and 5v5 with a few 3v3 tournaments, and then you go into 5v5 time for 18 months before you do the thing then from 5 to 7-a-side. So
I think the only thing what would happen is, the point you make there actually is good about the transition between 3 and 5-a-side. I think what you would probably find is a lot of teams, if you're meant to do 3v3 for under 6s, under 7s, may go to 5v5 anyway at under 7s, because the coaches would want to see it more like a proper
with
game.
goalkeeping, stuff like that.
Exactly. And that's what you might
find. That's a challenge, isn't it?
That's the danger.
But you could do. I mean, you could easily turn up with 6, 7, 8 players, and you could do the crossways on a 5-a-side pitch and play, two couple of games that way, and then they play the big pitch and go the 4-way. So you could almost do both. That could be a transition. So let's do the 3v3 format for the first 20 minutes, and then go to a 20-minute game. We're playing 5v5. So the players get a bit of both. But like, if you haven't done 3v3, and I'm sure most coaches have done 3v3, it is a brilliant format. You banged on about it from the beginning, and you were dead right. 20 by 12, 2 goals. 3v3, halfway line, fill your boots, and if you want to put some constraints in there to bring out different things, it's easily done.
I think it is a difficult one logistically as well. The other thing is, if you've got a lot of players in your squad, if you've got a squad of 15, all of a sudden you've got 3 teams of, I don't know, you take 4 players in each squad.
Yeah, I guess you'd have 3 teams of 5, couldn't you? Almost an 8 bits. If you streamed them a little bit, and you find another team that's got 50. I mean, again, it's just making it work logistically, but there's no doubt that the format's good, and you can play 3 with 5 players, can't you? Because the game's so intense, and you keep the game going, rolling subs. You don't stop, you just keep playing. So when they're tired, they come off, and that's quite good for them self-managing their energy levels, things like that. So you can certainly, just because it's 3v3 doesn't mean you only have 3 players, does it? You want at least 1, if not 2 subs.
Yeah. But I mean, if you've got a club like we've got, where we've got 3 teams, and how many players we got in the age group, 25, 30,
I'd say.
It could be quite difficult to manage, right? But anyway, I think overall,
you've got 6 teams, haven't you?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to think through, obviously, but I just that smaller format in the real younger age groups, I think works really well. Really well.
I wonder if you set up a mini under 6s 3v3 league, or is that starting too early? The problem, because everyone starts under 7s here, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
They're on it. Yeah. So under 6s, by Christmas time, most people are out playing 5-a-side football, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it'd be really hard to unpick that. Again, this is a challenge. It's not supposed to be easy, but it'd be nice if you could almost push that under 7s back then a little bit, so you really could focus on 3v3 a bit longer. 2-year-olds playing 3v3. We've got the under 3s league playing 3v3. It works.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Have I got my next one now?
Yes, go for it.
But I like it. I do like it. Right. Yeah.
So we'll give it a tick, but there's a bit of a question mark around, I guess, implementation and things like that. All right, cool.
All right, well, hopefully this will be shorter and sweeter. But
yes,
I'm going to skip to my number 3 one because it builds on format. So what about this, Mark? Currently in the UK, or in England certainly, we have the retreat line, right?
Yes.
So at 5-a-side football and 7-a-side, players have to retreat to the halfway line from a goal kick.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Which is fine, and I get that, and I think it's got value to it. Why could we not change it that, let's say, at 7-a-side, so when they start at under 9, 7-a-side, one player doesn't have to retreat from the opposition.
Okay.
So there's some pressure. So at 5-a-side, we keep it the same.
Yeah.
So it's still retreat back because the pitch is small and it's going to make it all. So still encourage us to play the right way and do the right things, or not play the right, play a way. But with 7-a-side, for the first season of 7-a-side, you can have one player from the opposition team could be in the half there. Yep. So bear in mind you still got a fair number of players just against one, so you should be able to manage that situation. And in the second season of 7-a-side, so under 10s, they're allowed to have 2 players in the opposition half. Bear in mind that under 11s, when they go to 9-a-side, there's no retreat line anymore. So at the moment it goes from a cliff edge to actually retreat to no retreat. Yeah. And you see it, don't you? And you see the boys know what to do. So they're not used to kind of playing and having to make decisions under pressure. And then they start kicking along again. Yeah. So it's defeated its purpose. Yeah. Or actually, if we add in some pressure a bit earlier, would that be a good thing?
Yes. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. So I like it. So basically what you're saying is 5-a-side, you keep the retreat line in.
I'd leave it, I think.
As is. You don't
Tempting to bring one player in the second season of 5-a-side, but I think it would be in player practice.
I think so,
personally.
Yeah.
And the pitch is still quite small.
It is small.
Yeah, and a big player can get around the pitch quite
quickly. And the time one of the boys or girls controls it, the other player's onto them quite quickly.
Even the retreat line only works so well with the second season of 5-a-side anyway. Yeah. So, but I think some of the pitch is twice as big.
It is, yeah. They're a long way back, actually.
They're a long way back. Yeah. So you have a bit of pressure. Yeah. Why not one player? You've still probably got 4 or 5 options to pick from, against one. So it's a rondo, really, with the keeper. So you should be okay still. And actually, if you're not, you're going to have to get good at it because that's coming in 2 seasons' time anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Really good idea. Very very well thought out, actually. I was quite surprised at that.
Well, do you know, it's the kind of thing where I think, okay, it's not a policy now, but I'd pick out games, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I hope you wouldn't do it in a cocky, I hope it comes quite a bit. We're playing teams next season. I would maybe invite that pressure. Yeah. And say to
if you were playing a coach, that's a similar, like-minded developmental approach.
We'll take it the right way. Say, look, I'm keen for the players to have a bit of pressure. So if you hope for it, I'm happy to have one player not have to retreat from your team until the keepers get the ball, kind of thing. Just so you can still negotiate. If you think it's a good idea, you can still use these things. It hasn't got to be mandated by a league or an FA. Yeah. But I think I'd look for opportunities to do that just to keep their players under some pressure. Tougher teams that it's a more battle. I might be a bit more. But if we both agreed it, then that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
And I think it's not actually hard to manage either, right? As a referee, because I do some of our refereeing for the under 8s. It wouldn't be hard to manage. One
player doesn't have to retreat.
Just one player.
Yeah, can be where he wants. I think it'd be quite easy.
And do you know what? Half the time, one of the players doesn't fully retreat anyway, and he's probably nicked about 4 or 5 yards.
Definitely,
but he would be anywhere.
Exactly. But what I like now is just making the team in possession of the ball or the goal kick have to think. Think about what's going on and look and scan and pay attention to stuff. They just don't know that at the moment. They just know all the players lined up on the halfway line with 3 about to press them. But it's kind of, they're not even looking. They just know that's what's going to happen. And the whistle goes, they're going to run at you. And then it's right, what do I do up the line if I've got a bit more time, or inside if I've got, but this makes them think, okay. And then the keeper's got, he's pressing that player there, he's standing there. So it's making them make good decisions, which I'm sure would help them when they get to 9-a-side when there is no retreat line.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it also the player that's in that half, it actually makes them start to think about, which side they want to show them and things like that eventually, right? So
exactly that as well. So now I know I'm going to have a teammate come and support me in a minute. So which way do I show the guy on the ball to play the ball to us? We can set traps for the other team now as well, which is the way football should be when you start playing 9 and 11 side football. So getting them ready for that.
Yeah.
It just seems a bit of a jump from not having to not having it. Just seems like
it definitely is. And I know the transition with the under 11s, they get it quite quickly. Actually, they do pick it up quite quickly. And the fact now that you can receive the ball in your own penalty box does help. So you still got an element of the retreat there because the opposition can't come in until you've touched it.
But a lot of teams just kick it long, don't they?
They do kick it long.
I think because they're not quite used to dealing with it. So there's, and actually the idea is to not do that, or at least not make it the default option. Yeah. And this is a way to kind of maybe help them get used to it a bit easier.
Yeah. Yep. I'm on board with that one.
All right.
I'll give that a tick.
All right.
Give that
2-1. 2-1.
Okay, so that would definitely help match day experience
and easy to put in, right?
And easy to put in, easy to manage. Yeah, definitely. Okay, all right. So my next one is around parents and guidance that the FA give to parents, because my personal view is there isn't enough guidance to parents at the moment in terms of not just their behaviour but also what is good from a developmental standpoint for their son or daughter. Now, it's difficult for you for the FA to dictate to a parent to say this is the way that he should be dealing with their son or daughter, but I think that there should be guidance out there around these are the kind of best practices. There should be some kind of advertised campaign about it. There's a lot around respect, which is brilliant, and there's been some great adverts around the respect proposition. But I just think there needs to be more guidance to parents around messaging that they're giving their sons and daughters at match day. It shouldn't be about how many goals you can score. It should be about working hard. What is your targets for your team targets? Can you help your team deliver the team targets? Those kind of things. And I think that there should be messaging should be clearer and louder from both the FA and individual leagues to parents to help match days. Because at the end of the day, your son and daughter kind of behaves the way you do to a certain extent, right? If you're very aggressive on the touchline, then the chances are your son or daughter is going to be pretty aggressive when they're playing, overly aggressive perhaps.
Mike, that's a really good point. The FA Respects programme has really focused on the spectator behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is fair enough because it needed looking at, although I don't see a massive improvement. I don't see a massive improvement. No. I don't know how much it's helped. I mean, maybe those people that have been more victims of it maybe think actually it's better than it's not. We've been around it. I don't know if I've been a massive victim of it, but I still see bad practice virtually every game we go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been focused on behaviour, which again, not an easy thing to shift. But you're saying actually, and I like this. It's like actually, why not focus on rather than the behaviour of the spectators that are there? Why don't we focus on communicating the message about what the football should look like, the development point of football. So not the outcomes, but the process and what good looks like in that terms. Because actually, then we'll look at games differently, maybe. And that might help fix some of the behaviour issues there. Where actually we're not worried about little Jimmy just playing up front and getting 10 goals a game. Exactly, you know, all the mistakes he makes, or just kick. I mean, how many times do we hear just kick it out, just clear it?
Just get it out.
Under-8s football.
Yeah. I heard it this morning. Just get it out.
And you want to have a go at the parents and just saying, and that's the parents and the coaches. You know, you think just let the kids play a little bit. You know, it doesn't matter. It's not like just let them play some football. And I wonder how much of it is the fact they just don't know any different to that, or they don't know why it would be more beneficial to actually have these mistakes and embrace the mistakes. Yeah. And it's okay because that's how they're going to get better. Yeah. Okay, so I guess what the FA would say to you if they were sitting here is like, how would you do it?
Yeah, I think, and that's a good challenge. I think you'd have to put some investment into it and have an advertisement campaign going through the clubs, making sure the clubs are communicating all these things out to the parents. I don't know whether you run some kind of media campaigns as well and things like that. But it would really have to. I think it would have to go through the grassroots clubs and from there, because you don't see that kind of behaviour in academy matches and things like that, do you? Very rarely see that behaviour. Or from my experience, you don't see it.
I think
because grassroots is where you really see it.
And I think that's because the badge of the academy speaks loud enough to keep the people a bit more quiet and they behave themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
But then academies don't get close, don't often get involved with the parents. They keep them occasionally outside.
Yeah.
They're not the mums and dads from the local school. It's usually people the coach don't know personally and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lack of respect for grassroots coaches.
Yes.
There really is.
Definitely.
I think parents, we've worked really hard to get badges and learn and do some things. And I think, generally speaking, their parents are nice with us and stuff like that. But people, you're still the kid's dad. It's not, and rightly so, it's not a career. Personally, I don't think we should be called coaches. I think we should be called facilitators. I don't think a coach to me is someone that's spent 20 years learning their craft, knowing how to do the things that they need to do to get the best out of the players. They've got to a level that qualifies as a coach. I'm just, I'm just a facilitator trying to give some good tips and advice where I can in a positive environment.
Yeah.
And I don't pretend to be any more than that. And I think that's okay, but if you've got the wrong parents and you've got an attitude where, no, I'm the coach, and then the parents saying, well, you're not really, you've got level 1 or level 2, and you just Billy's dad, really. You can see how these things happen. And I do think parental education would be a massive thing if it could be improved, and there's some great companies and projects out there that are doing it. There's one I can't think of right now, but if I can't get it before the end of the podcast, I will say it on the next one. But there's some really good ones out there. And even the work that like Richard Shilter's doing with Non-Perfect Dad and stuff, it's like, there's some stuff out there around that. But I personally believe that actually making some of these developments or ideas mandatory in the leagues, like the goalkeeper things, is almost a way of sending a message to parents saying, look, that's what, and they've been, why is there 2 keepers then? Why do they have 2 keepers? That's ridiculous. Well, the reason is, and we could do a little book with it to say, well, these are why we've got these things in place. So if you want to ask the question why, which is a great question, read the book, go online, do this, because you might learn. If you don't want to do that one, then that's fine. Then you're going to be confused every game why this is going on. But you sign up for this league with this team that adopts this policy. It's non-negotiable. It's carved in there, and actually we're all doing it, so it's not a problem. When I go and play the other team, they've got 2 goalkeepers. They're allowing 1 player to press, or whatever it might be. We're playing 3v3 at under 6s because that's what we think's right, and this is the reason why. And I don't always think the FA are great at selling the why about stuff. And I don't think they're actually great at, even on the courses. I mean, bear in mind that a lot of the grassroots coaches are parents as well. Don't get taught much of this stuff on level 1 or level 2 about just being a grassroots parent coach.
I agree.
And that stuff, and how you convince parents and communicate in the sense of selling the why and stuff. I don't think you get enough of that.
You definitely don't on level 1, right? The level 1 used to be just here's 12
practices,
drills,
learn one and do one. Which is nowhere.
It may have changed now. I think it has changed a bit, but still, I think dealing with parents and that side of things there's not enough focus on it in the training. And
I bet most coaches say that's the biggest out. Even above planning a session. That's what, you can facilitate a good session quite easily. Relax, keep it simple. Like Kira Allen said, keep it simple. And make your games. Have a plan. Create a right environment. But the challenge is always going to be convincing the parents what you're doing is the right thing.
Exactly.
And sometimes we need some help with that and some guidance about the best way of doing about it. Is it, if it's just simple things like, is it best doing it through WhatsApp, through meetings? There's just some ideas about how you do, what it might look like. Sharing some people's examples of stuff they've shared with parents and what's worked and what hasn't worked and stuff. I think that would be really valuable. And educating your parents. If we all educated our 10, 12, 15, 20 parents we've got in our, if we all did that, then suddenly the whole thing's better anyway, because that's getting to 15, 20 kids, each of us, and the whole experience improves, right?
Exactly. I think it's almost a course in itself, right? Managing parents, a 1-day course in itself.
And that they're out there. The problem is, with all respect, and I say this, and I'm sure people will agree with it, the parents, the people that need this guidance courses the most, the ones that will never go on these courses.
Exactly, they don't want to learn, right?
That's why you've got to put mandatory through other ways, because they won't do it, will they? And with all respect, it's the same with coaches. Coaches that really need to really pick up some of this development stuff are the ones that just it's not going to happen. I agree. Don't sound negative, but that's what it feels like, isn't it? Trying to get through to people that you really, the most of the ones you just give up straight away. I mean, we see them, it's just that person's not going to change in a million years what they do. And
you can try and change little bits, but all right.
Like it. I totally agree with the principle, though, of actually, parental education needs to be up on the agenda, and we've got to find clever and cute ways of doing it. But it comes back to us, doesn't it? I guarantee the FA puts it back on us as grassroots teams and coaches, but we're not necessarily qualified or experienced to do it.
I think there's a responsibility for clubs, especially when they get boys and girls that are young under 5s, under 6s. They've got a great opportunity at that age to talk to the parents and say, look, this is how our club works. We're developmental focus. It would mean that your son and daughter will play different positions. It means this, that, and the other. But equal game time.
But it's the why, isn't it?
Exactly.
And also saying, look, we still want to go and win our games. We want to still be the best team in the league. We want these things. That doesn't change, whatever. Yeah. But we're going to do it in a way in which we're putting the players' development interests first, and that's the important thing. And this is why it's going to be good for your kids to play different positions. This is why it's good. We pick this particular format of playing because that's good for the child and stuff. And you've got to keep saying the why. And it won't be easy, but it's much easier if everyone else doing the same thing. It gets hard when you go and play against other teams that aren't doing it, and then you get pasted 7-0, and it's like, I want to go to their team now because they've got a goalkeeper.
Yeah, and they're winning.
Yeah, and they're winning. Yeah, that's the bigger one.
Yeah.
Okay.
They won't be able to kick it long because they'll be
no.
Anyway.
Right. Okay. Is it me?
Yes, back to you.
Okay, so I've got a couple more, but we'll do this one. We'll see how we get on for time because we're probably pushing. But one more now. I'll be interested to know what you think about this one because you may think it's absolute nonsense, and even I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like it could work.
Yep.
So even though scores or results of games are not recorded in the foundation phase or in the non-competitive, so anything under 11s and down, obviously leagues still keep scores because they want to manage usually grouping teams together and making sure teams play, which makes total sense. You want like teams playing together because that's better for the players' development. So there's no point in a really, really strong team that's been playing 30 games playing against a team that's it's their first time kicking a ball. So it makes sense. So you've got to record the score. So we know the scores get recorded. We also know that scores actually matter to everybody. Players, parents and coaches. To what the various levels is arguable, but it matters to all of us. So we get that. We also know that everyone wants to win games, including coaches, which is absolutely fine. But it does get in the way of development and making choices. I know it because it affects me. I think actually, you know what? I can keep little Billy out a bit longer because he's having a cracking game, and and I want, and it's free, and I don't want to take him off and put on little Jimmy who's not had the strongest game yet. But it's his 10 minutes back on the pitch, but he'll get 8 minutes. I can get another 2 minutes. Do you know what I mean? There's that silly stuff that goes in your head in the moment. It's ridiculous, but you end up doing it.
And when you're playing against a coach that just wants to win,
it makes you even more.
Like,
it changes.
Then it's like, win. Do you know what I mean?
It means about and even the parents like, I don't care. Actually, even if it's my kid, don't keep him up. He's having a great game. Keep everyone. Let's just beat this team today. This is ridiculous. So it is the way it is, but it is ridiculous. What if we said scores only count up to half time?
Okay, all right.
So we play a 40-minute match, five-a-side football for argument's sake, and whatever gets recorded to the league is the half-time score.
Okay.
So if you want to take it seriously, play your strongest players, do what you need to do. I would still say that everyone should play in the first half. So I'm not saying some kids should sit out the whole half of the first half game and come on the second half, whatever else. So ideally, you still want everyone to participate. That might be part of it, like a condition to this particular rule, if you like, that everyone still plays first half. But the score only counts at half time. So 20 minutes we play, scores 5-2 to them. They've won 5-2. That's the score that goes to the league. Second half now, we play another 20 minutes, two more 10s. Doesn't really matter. We can the score can either reset, I don't know, or you carry on whatever you want. It doesn't actually make a difference. But now, so you can both relax a little bit about it doesn't actually really matter. So if I'm the team that's just won, I've won the first 5-2, maybe I'm more inclined to get my keeper out now a little bit or try different positions around. If I've just lost 5-2, the game's done now anyway, so we can try some different things. I can go, the pressure's off a little bit. I've learned from the first half what I might want to try in the second half or for the training. So it may just take some of the nonsense away from the game. So 20 minutes is enough to get an indication of how teams are performing and stuff. Everyone's had a game, so you're not going to learn anymore. You second half just exaggerate. If it's been really close and 2-2, fantastic. And if you end up going on the second half and losing the game 3 goals in the second half, so in theory you've lost 5-2, but it's still 2-2, well that's okay. It just shows maybe that your players got tired a bit or something changed or whatever else. It doesn't actually matter now. And if the other coach is like they won 5-2, although it's really 2-2, so be it. That's their prerogative. But as a coach, it just frees you up maybe for the second half to do things maybe in a more relaxed way that you might not have done otherwise.
It's revolutionary. That's right. Definitely revolutionary. It's something very new. My question is, do you think that coaches would see it that way, or do you think actually if it's my team against your team, my team's been, in my view, the better team, and we've lost 2-1 in that first half, and we'll be like, we lost 2-1. Do you think then that I would then come out second half and do a lot of different things, or do you think, and I'm not a developmental coach in this situation, I just want to win the game. Do you think then that would make me change my approach second half, or do you think I just want to go out and beat them? They beat us first half, boys. Let's go out there and beat them. Just that's all we're going to do, and we're going to keep our strongest positions. Do you think it will change mindsets? That's the only thing.
No, I think in that situation it wouldn't, but you're no worse off. You'd have got the same thing anyway.
Yeah.
So that 40 minutes would have been the same experience regardless. So it wouldn't happen. What it might have changed is my mindset, the other side, if I was the other side. So I've won the first 1-2. I've been a bit lucky there. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Well done. That game's done now. We've got the result. We've got that result now. That goes, all right, let's try this now. It doesn't matter. Why don't we try? Can we do something where we use the keeper to create a goal? Can we? Actually, I'll tell you what. You've been great on the left-hand side, Jimmy. You go and play on the right now, and we'll change different sides.
Yeah.
So I don't like. It might change my mindset. Will it change? Maybe it won't change either. But you'd be no worse off.
Yeah.
You'd be no worse off anyway. Development wouldn't go backwards for it. It just might enhance you to do things differently.
So it would. So you could argue actually it would developmentally be better for you because you're going to try these different things that maybe you wouldn't do in a normal match.
If it was 2-1 and we're tight in a close game and we've just nicked it and we're like, well, I'm not going to loosen up. I've been making that decision about, okay, a bit extra time for the stronger boy kind of thing now. Well, I can relax now.
For me, I'm not a developmental coach. I'm just going to go out there and carry
absolutely
on.
Fine.
But for your players and you, it's going to be a benefit.
And so say we do that and I do things and you stay tough and you get the result and actually you're 5-0 up on the second half and you've won the 5-0. No problem. We all know that was it. We won the first half. Well done, lads. That's what we had to do. Second half, we tried a few things and we learned a lot from it, didn't we? We tried different things. How was it on the right hand side? It was really hard. Cut back on my left foot. Yeah, brilliant. We tried it. No problem at all. We did. The parents understand. And they're happy they've won the first half. If they care that much about the results, they've won it. So in the league, they're still going to stay in the sort of division or whatever else.
Yeah.
But you've got the window there to be able to make better choices should you want to do so.
Yeah.
I think you'd be no worse off as far as I could see. No. You just open up a window of opportunity to say, look, that's it. And once the parents get around the fact the second half score doesn't actually mean anything, they'll relax, about it all.
I think there's challenges in getting the parents buy into these kind of things, especially in the situation where you're playing against someone that doesn't change anything, and all of a sudden you get kind of overrun 6 or 7-0 because you're trying different things. Then I think if you can get the parents to buy into what you're doing, then I think it could work and it could be very good, certainly for your team. But I guess the other argument is what would stop you from doing that anyway as a developmental coach? What would stop you, even in a game?
Because the scores still matter. Because the scores still matter. Because you've still got to tell the league where you want to be in, and people want to be in the highest league they can be, which I understand. They want the kids to compete and stuff, and you think you don't want to, but the problem is you do all that and you work to the 40 minutes, and then your game's over, and then there's nowhere to go after that. You might have had a cracking 4-4 game, but everyone's had to go gung ho. We played a really good team, didn't we? That matched us really. I won't say that. It's not right to say names, but a really good team. Physically, we got the win, but it could have gone either way, couldn't it? 100%. But it was a battle. It wasn't a great game of football because we just both teams worked so hard to catch each other out. But and we just nicked a couple of goals and that was it. But it could have easily been the other way, 100%.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be nice almost? Because we both wanted to win those games, and we like the manager there, so it's not it's absolutely fine. It's done with the right spirit, and everyone just given 100%, but done the right way. Yeah. But what would have been kind of nice was Spudder Wilson say, right, guys, that's fantastic, well done. There's the result now done. That goes to the league or whatever else. Yeah. And now let's have a game. Let's play. Let's just play some football. Don't worry about let's. I don't know how we change it a little bit, but let's not. Maybe we'll relax a little bit. We have a quiet 10 minutes where we don't say nothing. We could just when you've got two cracking teams that are evenly matched, but the football almost becomes second because they're working so hard to catch each other out. You didn't really get some of the football out of that. Where this might do that. Yeah. Maybe you have a slightly longer game. I don't know how you could do it because it feels like 20 minutes is very a tense 20 minutes in potentially,
especially for under 8.
But it was anyway. But it was anyway.
I like the idea. I do like the idea. I preferred your idea around 2 goalkeepers every game and the players, the retreat, not having only one player retreat.
It's a bit more out there, isn't it?
I think those two ideas help everyone. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're not a developmental coach. Yeah.
There's no guarantees it's going to pan out, is there?
You're forced to have a player coming in to kind of oppose you a little bit. You're forced to have 2 goalkeepers every game, so you're helping the development of all teams, all players. Yeah. I think this idea is a great idea, and I can see it working for you as the way you coach, and probably for me. But I don't think it'll change for coaches that are not interested in that developmental side of things. I think that they would just still do the same thing anyway. Exactly, and they would probably work this at the end of the game. They would probably be on the basis we drew 2-2 in the first one, we won the second one 6-0, we won 8-2. Yeah, is my maths as good as it? It's good, yeah. Should be in my job.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
So I like it a lot. I just don't. I like the other ideas, the two others.
I could see in practice how it might not play out how it was supposed to in practice. It's a good point, but
it's definitely an idea.
I just think it'd be nice to have part of that game where you don't, even if it's the final quarter, but then the problem with the final quarter is the fact that not everyone's going to play in that final quarter necessarily, so it doesn't, you almost want enough of the game so everyone gets involved that you can see it all. But it'd be interesting. I wonder if we could do a few games, but then if they're friendly games, it doesn't matter whether they're first or second half. It's almost, because the scores do matter, that's the point about it as well. They do, even when they don't matter, they do matter, because
they shouldn't do, right? They should be all friendly.
They shouldn't do. And I think the result is important, but it should never be the priority. No. That's the point there. No. And we did a tweet just saying, look, something along the lines of foundation-phase coaches shouldn't prioritise result over development opportunities within the match, you know, and allowing the players to express themselves and make mistakes, you know. And it's true, it shouldn't be. You shouldn't compromise the development opportunities just to try and get their result. But we do. It happens, and it's it's more, very much more the norm than it is the other way around. You see development happen after the result. Okay, now we're safe. We've got 3 goals up. Now we're doing some development stuff, and that's only occasionally too. You know, it's never right. We're going to go out with development policy first about rotation, equal playing time, and try different things. We're going to link our training to our matches. You know, and that's our focus beyond the result. We're going to share it with the parents. All the things we're trying to do. You know, it doesn't happen enough, I don't think. And then it's all about the result, and then the bad choice happen and the bad experience happen for the players.
No, agree. Can I do one more?
Definitely, yeah.
And I think this will be fast actually. And I'm going off piste a little bit. This won't affect matches directly. One of my big issues, not issues, but thoughts are around the training courses that the FA run. And I know this is a little bit not directly linked to the theme, but it is as well. So, for example, I've gone through my level 1 and level 2. I would like to do the UEFA B next. Now, for me to get onto the UEFA B, realistically, I'm going to have a 9-a-side team, and actually probably need an 11-a-side team to do that.
Yeah, because it's prioritised, isn't it? So 11, if you've got 11-a-side, you're higher up the rankings to get offer than 9-a-side.
Yeah, and if you've got 11-a-side and youth module 3, I think, then you get even more of a kind of priority. So my big point is actually, if I was in doing 7-a-side and I'd done my level 1, level 2, where do I go now? Because there's no youth modules for coaches, and I know you've done your youth modules, right?
I've done the youth, so model 1, 2, and so I'm technically level 3 coach. Yeah, but that's not UEFA B. That's going through the youth mods. Yeah, but there's literally no. I'm not cutting you, but there's nowhere you can go now. Yeah, you just got to sit and wait. Yeah, until you get a 9 or 11, really 11-a-side team. Exactly. To do the next lot of learning. Yeah. I'm going to shut up because I'm just going to say
you're right. And even like the UEFA B now, that there wasn't in our county, there was no UEFA B run last year, so it's massively oversubscribed this year. They run 1 course a year. I think they're limited to kind of 30 spaces or something like that. So it's massively oversubscribed. The youth module's no longer available unless you're an academy coach, I believe. I think they do that.
So the youth mods are now built into the level 1, level 2, and part UEFA B, I think. Okay. But the Advanced Youth Award, which is a fantastic qualification everyone loves, only done at St George's Park, and is, I think, only available to those that work in professional academy.
Exactly. So where do you kind of go, right? That's the point. And it's not all about having your qualifications and things like that at all. I think experience, being on the grass and learning, and your development outside of in what you read and what you watch and how you study, that's paramount as well, and you're learning there. But I do think training courses are important as well, because firstly, it allows you to kind of meet new people, new ideas, and then you've obviously got the guidance as well you get from the FA of doing these things and new experiences. Yeah. So I think that's my big issue is for the FA is how they then bridge that gap, because you really like UEFA. If you do a UEFA B when your team is 11-a-side, so it could be under 14, under 15, you've probably only got them for 2 more seasons. And under 16, they're starting to do kind of different things, right? And under 18s, they're off doing different things. So why not have like a UEFA B or a youth module type award out there for grassroots coaches, a level 3 version that can be incorporated in as that you can do at 5-a-side or at 7-a-side. There's not that restriction on when you can do it. That's my big thing, and I think that will help. It will help eventually in the development of players as well, because coaches being more qualified, new experiences, more kind of socialising with different coaches. You're just going to you're going to improve the standard of coaching, and then I think you would improve the match day experience as well for the boys and girls.
Couldn't agree more, Mark. I think if the UEFA B is as good as courses we're led to believe it is, and I'm sure it is, then you want to get on it, don't you? And when you're keen like we are, you want to develop yourself.
Yep.
And it's been, I did my youth award maybe 2 years ago now. So I've had 2 years already where I can't go anywhere. And because I've gone back now from the side we had that would have been playing 9-a-side now back to a 5-a-side team. Yep. Like I'm 3-4 years away at the earliest of doing something like that. So you're dead right. I mean, it's different for you in the sense you've got opportunity because you're in a position where you tick the boxes, I think, at the moment. So hopefully you've got...
depends on priority, right? Depends on who's supplied and things like that, but
And then maybe there's a reason why they try and limit numbers, which I kind of understand. But there's two things here. One is, as I understand it, the UEFA B is the highest ranking grassroots qualification you could get.
Yeah.
So if you've got grassroots people that are wanting to do it, oh my God, shouldn't you be getting them on there? I mean, we were pretty much, the level one was like a have to, wasn't it?
Yep.
You have to do this, which is the way it should be, 100%. But surely they should all be have to's almost, in the sense, if you want to do it, get these people on this course and let's get them qualified the best they can to get the best experience they can for the players that they coach.
Yep.
But the most important bit, and I totally agree with you, is why are you going to learn all this stuff, do this wonderful course so late in your football journey when you might stop coaching after then?
Yeah.
Like, this is your money you're going to pay either yourself or through the club anyway, but it's going to come out of your money. It's not costing the FA anything, so it's not like that's why we don't do it. I mean, we want people that are going to work in professionally. This is grassroots qualification. Most grassroots coaches, I would imagine, don't coach probably after their groups go under 16. They might go back in, some maybe, but I think most probably when their kids go through it, probably the majority probably don't.
Yep.
So why not have the information knowledge before you need it? I personally would love to do the UEFA B like now, while we're doing 7-a-side, or we're back at 7-a-side. So when the players come to 9-11-a-side, I know what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But also, why isn't 5 and 7-a-side important then?
Yeah.
Why is it only 9 or 11-a-side that's important? Why can't the principles and a lot of the stuff that we cover on coaching courses be appropriate for the smaller formats of the game?
Yep.
And you say, well, that's what level 1 and level 2 is for. Well, it's not really. It's
no.
not, because that's about environment and it's general, which is you don't learn about how to coach a 5-a-side team or a 7-a-side. You coach about all different formats. It just depends. So it's not specific to a format. So why does UEFA have to be specific to a format but the others aren't? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yep.
And if that's how you want to do it as a governing body, well then fine. But then maybe do it in formats then. And actually, so you do an introduction that may include 3v3.
Yep.
As your first thing.
Yep.
It's not necessarily levels. You do that, and then when you want to, then you do the 5v5 course. You do the 7v7
It's like
course.
modules, right?
You do modules, right? And you learn certain stuff. Now that you might do a generic one that covers all the stuff about facilitating a good environment, those kind of things, and then you do format specific ones, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But encouraging coaches to do the format prior to what they're currently teaching at, or working with.
Yep.
So if you're currently doing 5-a-side football, then you should be doing the 7-a-side format one now, so you can learn it ahead of it. So you kind of constantly. So it moves.
That's a great idea.
It moves how you move, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So in your second season of 5v5, you should be doing the 7v7 module with the FA, which could be a 4-day workshop or something. Yeah. You do all the stuff up front, the heavy stuff. So dealing with parents, creating the right environment, important small-sided games, deliberate practice, all the things that are important and stuff. So you get a real foundation of being a coach or a facilitator, whatever you want to call it, but that the package stuff, and then you have modules you can work on that specialise in the formats you're coaching with. Happy days.
Imagine that going back when we first started, right? Going on a 5v5
you've got your pathway then.
Module and learning about all these things about rotating goalkeepers, playing different positions, playing your right foot players, left foot on the left hand side, equal game time.
Debating, what format to use and why it's important. You say, well, formats in 5-5 are nonsense. No, it's not. Well, actually, a 1-2-1 formation gives you different outcomes to a 2v2 formation. So I'm not saying which one you should choose, but at least know that's the thing you've got to decide now. So as a coach and you want to build your own way of playing the game and your own game model, you've got to look at these things and you've got to understand it. So even what is a game model? Most coaches won't know what a game model is. Not most coaches, that's not fair to say. I think there's probably a lot of level 1 coaches that have just done level 1 that wouldn't have discussed the idea of game model. Is the point I'm making. They may have done it outside, but they won't know and so if you don't know the basics about or you don't build your foundations on stuff that you're going to need to have in the future, then you're never going to be on solid ground, are you? I just think do the package and then have the formats you work through. Now, it's fair to say that it's more complicated, maybe at 9, 11 aside. So, okay, then it's a bigger course.
Yeah.
That's a 6-day workshop that covers a bit more, maybe, you know.
Because you then start talking about formations, there's multiple formations you can play. It does get more kind of tactical.
And you can put levels in that. You might say, like, I've done the level 1 9v9, but I want to do a level 2 9v9 or level 3 9v9, so I want to work up there. So it's more modular and stuff like that. And I get that's more work, but it's probably not. It's probably just carving up the UEFA B, it's carving up the qualifications that are out there and just repackaging them slightly and making them more accessible. And also then you can probably have FA coach educators that can, you know, you've got more, they can manage that workload better because it's more bite-sized chunks. It's not like one big 1 year course, you know, because that's a long time, isn't it? A 1 year course.
Well, it's a big commitment of work as well, taking time off work.
When you're a grassroots coach doing it part-time at most of the sites, like, it doesn't really fit. It's almost become an academy qualification, the UEFA B. So, and they'll say, well, you can go and be an observer on a course, which, definitely, but why should I just go and observe? I want to learn. I want to do the qualification stuff. I'll do observation. We can do futsal. Well, we've done that. Goalkeeping, we're doing that. You know, it's like we're doing all this stuff as well. We're doing this as a podcast. We're reading the books, and it's not all about the badges, but you want the opportunity to learn and show that you're at a level that you're at.
Yeah. Look, and I think the other thing is about futsal as well. We've done a level 1 futsal. Trying to find a level 2 futsal course is really hard. Our county doesn't do it. I haven't seen them do it. And there's the county next to us. I think do one a year, and I couldn't attend that, so that means that was out. So I've got to wait now to the next time they run one. They're hard courses to find as well. There's not many of them.
It's funny in the supply and demand thing. It just seems like it's weird, and because it is the only option. It's a bit of a monopoly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You kind of think, well, you're at the expense of those, and when you don't do a job, it's easy to criticise, right? We don't work at the FA, we don't know it. So I'm sure there's lots and lots of reasons why these things are the way they are. It just feels like there should be better options, alternatives, because ultimately it's just the players that pay the price. Because I think we've done a good job. We've got ourselves to a level where we can be comfortable giving our players a good experience, but it can still be better. And we can know more. You know, and also knowing what comes ahead, like before we get there. The danger we've both got a little bit is the fact that we're now going into uncharted territory in the sense that we had a chance to go back again after getting the boys to 7-a-side football with the older sons. But we've not coached a grassroots 11-a-side yet and do 9-a-side. So I think we should know what we're going to do beforehand. We might make the same mistakes made before with the first team that we had.
100%, 100%. And I think just imagine if they had that 5v5, the 5-a-side module, where you can actually start to embed those principles around. It's not all about winning. It's about what do you want to get out of this game? How do you link it to training and things like that? Just imagine that, and you start that at that young age. That's just going to flow through.
All those coaches now that are coaching 5-a-side have done the 5-a-side module, whatever you call that, and now they more likely to have the same philosophy and the same thing, because it was the youth mods that really got me thinking in a different way about. I did the old level 2, so I think the level 2 is different as well, but it was the youth mods that got me thinking, do you know what, that's what I thought coaching should be and what grassroots should be, but not everyone's done the youth mods. And you go and play coaches, and I'll give them a hard time in my own head. I'll try not to tell them anymore, like I'll try to behave myself, but it's not even their fault for most. They don't know any different. They've just gone the level 1s and gone out and tried to play how they used to play football themselves, and an effective way of trying to win games. It's not, you know, it's easy to criticise them, and I do, but like you can almost excuse it, or at least understand it, if not excuse it. The fact that they don't know any different, and we should, or the FA should really work on trying to encourage people to know different stuff. And it's all like preaching about, okay, stay on the ball and doing that stuff, which has been a big, I mean, that's cost a few quid, I'm sure, to get the go in the country, to everyone just stay on the ball, which I'm not knocking, but is that more important message than actually creating the right environment for players and the why behind it and the other stuff? Because go and watch a game on a Sunday and tell me how many kids have been encouraged to stay on the ball. Get any game, go and watch it on a Sunday, and if you think it's working out there, training definitely 100% it's got better. But if you go and watch any Sunday game and tell me how many teams there really, their players are being encouraged to stay on the ball, I don't see it.
No, agree.
All right, well, I think we broke the hour all again.
We're there. I thought we were hunting around.
Have you got any more you want to go through?
I haven't really. I got one around just talking. Like I think the FA should be doing more around spot checking at youth games. There needs to be investment in that. Going out there, seeing. I'm sure they do already, and we just haven't experienced it. But actually having people out there looking at what's happening on the grass and seeing how these coaches are behaving, and even reporting back to the individual leagues. This week I went to see Team A versus Team B. Team B The coach, he didn't rotate any of his players. He had one fixed goalkeeper. His behaviour was. Do you know what I mean? Just
back to your point
things,
about parent stuff or the FA guidance on respect, because you're right. What would happen if they went there? It would be based on behaviour of the adults around the match. But look at the game for what's gone developmental wise.
Yeah.
I think there's been I'll say again, I think there's been a big improvement in training, but there's not been the big improvement in the match day. It's focused on development. There just hasn't been, and until we crack that nut, maybe we'll never be as good as we could be as a nation of football players. Because unless you get into the academy system where they do things differently that way, as a grassroots players, you're not always going to struggle, but it's going to be a much tougher battle because you're not getting the same opportunities to develop yourself in the match day experience as you would be if you were in an academy. So for those late achievers or late bloomers that don't get signed up at the academies at under 9s or under 10s or whenever it is, it's harder now because you're not getting the same experience outside of that. And it could, we've closed the gap at training, I think, between what academies do and what some of the grassroots clubs do. I'm not saying academies aren't fantastic and do a cracking job, but I think we have closed the gap. And I think where academies were paranoid about not signing kids early because the experience they were getting at grassroots, not just match day, but also training was poor. I think that's not so much out there anymore. But what is still out there is the match day experience is still dire. And I think, even if you say the behaviour of the adults isn't particularly bad, and maybe that's fair to say, there's some shocking cases, but most are probably okay. I still passionately believe that most of the football played, or grassroots football on the weekends, is not development focused. And surely that should be something to be looked at.
100%. Yes. So,
all right,
that's it. We should add that we're not. What the aim of this wasn't to criticise the FA, right? And what they do. They do a lot of really good things, and these ideas are just based on our experience, what we're seeing on the grass each week. And ideas that we think could help. And
it's wishful stuff. It's almost dream stuff. If you could do anything, what would you do kind of thing?
Exactly.
And it's easy sitting here saying it from over a table, having a cup of coffee kind of thing. It's different putting it in practice. But if someone doesn't shout about these things, then we're just going to do the same stuff, aren't we? We've shown that we can improve the training environment, I think, and it's going the right way. It's time to shine light on the match day, and the more people that can do that, then the more chance we've got of making some changes and hopefully improving that experience too.
100%,
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks, Mark. Good stuff.
All right. So we were looking for people to kind of give their views, right? On
tell us
agree, disagree. Maybe there's some great ideas that we haven't considered.
Exactly,
I'm sure there is.
That'd be good to know. Other ideas out there. So please do let us know. Tweet us, email us, whatever way you want to get to us. Just let us know your thoughts, and what we'll do is if we get enough stuff in, we'll do a separate little follow-up part 2 to this, and we'll show what other people have said and give our views. That's okay for what it's worth on the other ideas. But tell us if you think we're crazy. Tell us if you think they're good ideas. Tell us if you think you're doing some of this stuff. Be interested to know also, personally, any really, really, really good experiences you've had on match days, and any really, really, really bad experience you've had on match days.
And why.
And what's happened. I'd be interested to know. It's just something with Mark and I talking about some other things around, just generally speaking, just what goes on out there and what picture we get in for it. So, good practice you've seen and bad practice, that's either around players, parents, coaches, development, whatever it might be. Just let us know what is going on out in the big wide world.
Perfect.
You can reach us on our Twitter account, which is @SoccerCoachCast. The email address is info@thesoccercoachingpodcast.com. If you want to email Mark specifically, then just put mark@soccercoachingpodcast.com, or me, Scott. The website's there. But any feedback is much appreciated. Just let us know your views and thoughts. If you can be bothered to click on the 5 stars or however many stars you think are appropriate and write a couple of comments about what you think about the episodes, that'd be brilliant too. And what we'll try and do in the next episode is just address some of the nice feedback we've had and things that have been said again. So we'll do that in the next one. Sound good?
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.